welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel. And in this one we have an S+, OP, disgusting Graves build brought to you by the Legend of Zib, which is actually Vitality Bow, a fresh jungler on the EU West server, ready to basically embarrass all of us. And he has done that. Everyone is embarrassed because the KDAs and the way he's jungling is netting him Smurf-like results, except he's 1300 LP challenger already. So, for a more well-edited expose about his general styles, tips, and how to do it and how to use it for your games, I will be doing a more effects-riddled, kind of composition for my main channel. But for this one, I just want to show you the principles behind what he does, why he does, and how it works in the best scenario. In the video on my main channel, I'll break down, when you're behind, when other things happen, and so on. But for this one, I want to focus on how his jungling style is so good and why this Graves build is absolutely disgusting. Now, runes, bring them up on your screen. I don't know why I'm saying bring them up. I'm the one who edits as well. Fleet footwork, full on, straight healing, mobility, always very, very good. We're going for Treasure Hunter for a bit of snowballing Goldie juice. And at the same time, we have Taric top lane. So Taric is one of those kind of OP champions that no one knows how to play and kind of works in almost any role. It's really, really strange. But nonetheless, what he loves to do, he goes red into the Raptors, and of course he will always head to the bottom side as well to take the Grump. This gives him a 3-camp action kind of clear. I'll animate this in my game on the main channel to show you like all the different variations, but essentially you can look for invades, you can look for ganks, you can look for ganks here, you can fall back down to set up yourself some sequencing, fall back to the blue, take the scuttle, double scuttle, gank top lane. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with red Raptors Grump, but he does it very often on the red side and not on the blue side. However, if there is a gank in the mid lane that he can level 2, he does go for it. He really does look to go for it, especially in this situation where Nidalee starts on the top side, she's going to be sequencing down, Irelia goes in, she flashes, he flashes, she stuns, he avoids the stun with a nifty bit of footwork, he can auto attack and just keep chasing it down. Now, that's a spear over the wall. She shows 12 CS, blue buff, no red, which means tracking. She's going bot, she also kind of telegraphs it. Bot lane does die. Now, how does he work this whole build together? Now, this is the thing. The build is very frequently going to be Gore Drinker, Black Cleaver, more Death Dance. He will go Merc Treads if necessary, but he also goes Ionian Boots against compositions like this, where that CDR can really be handy against quite a mobile and annoying team. So normally we would go to Grump first, then Wolves, then Blue. If something we can do after Grump, we do it. Otherwise, he falls back. If he needs to do a level 2 gank, he'll do these two together and then try and contest this. Now, does he die? He does. Does he die a lot later? He does not. All and most of his deaths come in the early phases being hyper-aggressive, right? Being a good, aggressive Graves jungler looking to snowball with Treasure Hunter, looking to snowball with his Zombie Ward. We see here prior. We know the Nidalee is going down. This crab is dead. Dead, we cannot get it. So screw it. Move on over to the top side. And the thing is, right, he will sometimes flex that Black Cleave, as we see Irelia going to the side too much, into a Death's Dance, which of course you will see this game. But again, he always looks for a good old-fashioned repeat gank. Irelia's going down because Nidalee's going to show up here. Nice knockback by the Talia. We can E in for the auto. Make sure we don't lose vision. Beautiful. Here we'd expect potentially, some kind of showing from the Nidalee if she hadn't shown yet, especially in low elo when you're playing a Nidalee. She's going to take a long time. Always would expect him to show up here. There you go, same thing in this elo. Chucks a spear, misses the spear, auto attacks. We take this, right? So there's nothing you can do about this. What do you think you should do in this situation? 418, 419, 420. She started a blue Grump. That Grump's going to be up. Let me sneak in and snack this away. Now, because he went down like this, his Grump is not able to be counter-jungled. And that's the most important thing I think you can learn from his first rotation. Flexi clear, essentially. Anything he does is adapted to the lanes he want to gank, is adapted to the junglers he's facing, and is setting himself up to have whatever necessary option available to him should he have to act on it. Now, that was a weird sentence, but again, as I've said, I have a baby, I'm sleep deprived, so hopefully you can understand what I mean. He goes back to base. Obviously, Umbral Glaive is very frequently the early item he goes, right? And then you can flex into your Gold Drinker, you go your DD or Black Cleaver, more of my Mordias, and then you'll finish it off with a Frozen Heart against AD attack heavy comps. Now, there's a lot of haste, good armor, good mana sustain. Fleet forward gives him more sustain plus kite ability and movement around fights. kind of like a different kind of phase rush in a way. You see here a little bit of a burst proc. We get to the next camp quicker as well. It really aids in every respect, the kind of way he wants to play. Now Aurelia's going back in on the Talia, and here's the thing, right? This is the second phase. The second phase, obviously, is we did some counter jungling. Now, you know the Nidalee is going to know that you probably did that and probably check it and then go down. So, in this situation, could you just, you know, kind of justify just heading all the way down to the bottom lane? You could, but we have here the TB by the Taric making a fight. Good hold. We see this. We create Prior from the mid lane, as you would have seen, and now we can just 5-stack dive this. The support in me is getting a bit upset because, you know, what did we do to deserve this kind of attention? Again, well played by the Talia. Kayle is also able to TP and use her ult, and it's not going to matter. Oh, that Q misses. Here's the thing, though. Let's just watch this play through. All right. Ult. Minions! Come on, minions! Are they going to stick around? Come on, we can do this. Let's have a look. He's going on the back there. I'm keeping the camera steady. Misses. Ah. Beautiful auto attack Q. This is the thing you're going to notice. Taric's going to die. You see that? His mechanics are sublime. His mechanics in the early phase, in 2v2s, in dives, in teamfights in the later phase, in skirmishes in the mid phase, are absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. Because he is able to predict. It's almost like he's really playing in slow motion. He knows what everyone's going to do. And even on the ping that he has, compared to, say, you know, like if you're playing on the Korean server or you're playing on the super server, it's really an anticipation and reaction fused together. It's one of the best mechanical junglers I've ever seen play on the server, or in general. He predicts, he dodges, he slides, he avoids. You saw the little dodges here of the E, so the dodges of the Nidalee Qs. He dies with a few aggressive plays and some of his strategies with his clears, as I'll cover on the main channel video. I can kind of dive in depth to it, dive in depth. But when he is finding himself in those tight situations, the mechanics get him out so frequently. Even though he does die a bit early, later on he just doesn't. You might have this gap in the mid game where he doesn't do a lot of stuff, as we're going to see a little bit now, where he's focusing on farming, map control, counter jungling, and objective control, but he gets himself strong, right? And then he translates that into just dominating teamfights and skirmishes, and he just does not die in them. And that's the thing with the build, he can't die. So you combine good mechanics with Fleet Foot, with a Gore Drinker, with a Death's Dance, with an Umbral Glaive for extra damage and vision control. There's almost nothing that you can't do if you're a good player mechanically with this Graves build. So we use a little bit of the out of base. Now, this happens a lot in coaching. The crab's up. You kind of want to focus this, obviously, for the cash monies and the game state elevation. You're really looking to push the pressure against things like Kayle and Aurelia. You know, don't go Raptors into this. Just take your red. It helps a lot. Take this as well. You see how he's not worrying about these things. He's just taking the red, going to the objective. Now we're not too much concerned about doing anything else. We could look just to loop back around if we wanted to. We could look to cut out the Krugs and loop to the bottom side. We look at the time, 850. Can we do something mid lane potentially? Bait it in. Again, beautiful W by the Talia. And of course, exhausted. E hits. We're going to keep following down. We're going to keep following down. And she is going to flash and get away, which is absolutely fine. That's a great transition there. He notices this. Instead of going back to his camps immediately, which most of you would, he sees mid lane. Ah, that's gankable. I can do that. Nidalee shows up here. See how he didn't concern himself too much with her. He's counter jungling, while exquisite and very opportunistic and immediate. Huh? He is immediate on the counter jungling. It is definitely more power spike orientated. So like taking the second grump is pretty big. You know, so he's not going to take random camps that don't really have an impact, but taking a second grump and forcing it to be one side, that's huge. Taking second red, making those invades, he does that a lot as well, that's huge. Now the Aurelia stays, so he rotates around again. He sees he doesn't go farming. He sees that she is staying out. He's just going to go through here, auto tank a few tower shots. The ignite goes through from the Talia. That's exquisite. You know, this is the kind of thing I was talking about in the main channel video that I put out this week, where people kind of focus too much on the Krugs instead of cutting the camp out nicely and just kind of small sequencing. But if there is something happening with someone's low, just let's go and let's do it. Especially if you can beat the enemy jungle 1v1. Now, typically you would look to kind of 100% destroy a tower, 2 to 3 plates, but when you're Graves and you're fed and you've got Umbral Glaive, you've got a pickaxe going, and you have the Herald, you can do that pretty easily here already, like at 4 plates. There's no reason for you to kind of think, oh, there's a better scenario. Just use it. You kill her, you burn her flash, you burn her ultimate, take the tower, 5 plates, easily snacked when you're an AD champion, and now we start to push the map, right? Now we're starting to look to really get control things. And he cut out this to take this and this. Then he cut out all of this to kill her, take this, and take the Raptors. And now he's going to have a great angle of approach. Excellent Renata ult there. Heal is used. He ults a beautiful maximum range ult. He does get it by a spear here, so this will be a little bit more tight. Might have a death soon, doesn't really matter. Look at the damage with Umbral Glaive plus 3 footwork. Just auto-attacked, juiced, dead. Aurelia's roaming down here. We are a bit low on mana and HP. We will have to be a little bit more cautious. They're going to try and tunnel in on the Thresh, but then he swaps back to the Aurelia, which is of course the right decision. And now Thresh ults, which means no one will be able to move for it. Oh! Well played, very nice. So most likely, most likely in your games with Thresh ults, no one's hitting those skill shots. Everyone's just slowed for 1,000 years, but good job, team. So, with 902, Gore Drinker, Umbral Glaive. Yes, I understand if you have some PTSDs from last year. Yes, it is still disgusting and diseased and not enjoyable to face. And yes, it is way worse on Graves than it ever was in the Assassins because, he's still an assassin, but he's also a bruiser, but he's also a marksman. You see where I'm going with this? This build is unnatural. I don't like saying it, but it enables Bo's playstyle so well. He does it also in Wukong very well in a similar fashion with the Divine Sundra, having enough damage to do everything he needs, but enough sustain and healing and itemization spikes to just take control of every fight with his mechanics. He's 2 levels up. Here we go. We get hit by the Aurelia ult. We obviously use the Juicy, that is Red Smite, and that is being nerfed, by the way. And of course, we have E up here. We're going QE max, obviously. We do get hit by a spear, but do we care? No, we do not. Iron Embrace of Lucidity as well. Moving into the jungle. You see how this is all like clean up afterwards? Always reward yourself with camps. And when he has this lead, he just pushes it in such a disgusting way. I know I've said that a lot this video, but it's incredible how easy it is. Even in games, I'm going to show a game in the video Monday, a highlight of an early game where he's 0-3-0, right? He's 0-3-0, and he ends up carrying the game. Like, it's like he didn't die at all. That kind of recovery is difficult to do for most people because they get tilted and they don't know what to do, but he just carries on doing the same thing. Nidley, hello? Vubistu? Tower, okay, son. You see, and this does happen. He will go for a bit of a limit testy play. Well, you don't want to go to a Jinx or a Kale, but if he can have fun, if Zid can have fun, then we can have fun. Nice. Renata ult again. Hey, the skill shots in this game, apart from the Nidley spears, pretty good for everyone, actually. Yeah, these are what we call micro throws. This is why the game is not over at 13 minutes. It really is not over. And a lot of the games he plays where he wins, even if he has someone like Vitilia, doing a good job, it's quite, I don't want to say selfish. It is selfish in a way, but it also isn't. Some games you will have a lot of assist by nature of not having as much raw damage as you normally would with Graves, but he does have more than enough. He does the most damage. But in these moments, that death and maybe one other death in the team fight in the mid game, sure, things happen. Enemy teams are human beings. It's Challenger. They're going to make plays, right? But overall, he really will not take those bad fights when if his team is doing stupid things. He won't take them and die with them. He just waits and farms and controls and pushes and denies, scans, makes assassination picks. And then when the fight comes around, the mechanics in fights are absolutely... The guys team fighting, and I know, it's a meme, like we always say, like LPL team fighting, they're gods. They are, and that's where he trained, in that region, so... Incredible team fighting prowess. We're not going to see... we will see a little bit of it in this game, but mostly I wanted to show you, like, how strong this build can be, and... even though it might look a bit bruiserish and about a little less in the damage department, doesn't matter in these scenarios. It really doesn't. So this is a pure snowballing, OP, disgusting build, and this is your itemization spike. Now, against a more tanky composition, definitely look to go for that Black Cleaver. If you have more AD on your team, by way of top lane and ADC, specifically quite a heavy AD comp, Black Cleaver, really, really good. More haste, good HP, Great kiteability with the movement speed proc, and obviously the armor shred is what we really want from that. But the Death's Dance against comms that have inherent sustain themselves and can obviously turn fights, you know, Gorge Ring, Death's Dance, Umbral Glaive. How do you say no to that combination? You don't. You don't. It's those three items on something like a Graves or back in the day a Talon, really almost unbeatable. This dragon basically gets one shot. And you see how he does not focus on dragons. He will take dragons when they are presented to him, you know, and it's like, well, I guess I can take him. But it's really not a focal point of the game plan. Because the Herald, the Treasure Hunter, for the game state, you know, I know it's 550 gold, right? You can see that's 550 gold, but that 550 gold gets you Umbral, it gets you Einspike Quip, it gets you a Gold Drinker, and that's the 2-item combo he's looking for to make plays to take his team into the mid game. And you're noticing how it's just really flowy, right? And this is why I always say Graves is a master of jungle flow. And if you miss the Grum counter jungling, if you miss the Herald into mid lane, into this, into Kite, kill back, into the bot lane, into cleaning this up afterwards, that's flow, right? You're just seeing one thing after the other, one thing after the other. And it's really easy to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 when you see it. He sees it. I'm going to try and show you a bit more in depth about how to look for those triggers in the main video. But here I just wanted to kind of show you like an outset about how he snowballs these games. But it definitely isn't always like this. But he always plays the same way. So 2 Heralds, very, very crucial. Very, very crucial to have 2 Heralds in these kind of games where you have like a Tarek 116. The Talia is playing well, but she's still 319. The Ezreal is in the game, but you know, it's not like you have 2 people with like 95% KP just steamrolling the game. It's not the old Agurin and Virkayu combo from a couple years ago. You do have to be aware that it is a Kayle. It is a Jinx. They can take some shutdown gold and some mistakes and reverse this very, very easily. Like you see an 8k gold deficit, it's not really 8k gold deficit when the bounties are active, when they're getting 1,000 gold shutdown from you. You have to see the closing moments through. And that's why this game isn't over, and that's why they're not FFing, you know? So what is Graves going to do with his build? Finally, we have the Death's Dance. Obviously, we're going to need that to sustain. Another bounty is taken. Jinx is here. She's overstaying a little bit. Graves is going to side see like these little things. Angles. Ults to reposition. Hits the W. E's again. Auto-attacking, remember, it reduces that E cooldown. So, Tarek, stun's not working. Again, E is up again. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, and I'll take an assist. But we would have got her anyway. So the build is quite nasty in terms of chase down as well, obviously because of the fleet footwork. And auto-attacking to get, you know, fleet footwork procs and then move and things like that is track these things, right? Like you got 100 energized here. Look at them. Look for your electrocute cooldowns. Look for your conqueror stacks. Look for things in your runes. People don't look at their runes enough, I feel. Yeah, your keystones. Play around your keystones. Look at them and your bar above your abilities, okay? Pretty big to pay attention to that. Right. We're going to go ahead and snack these. Q close to the wall so we get the shorter return. Activate the Herald. There's a little bit of a hook. It's still a Tarek. Remember, when you have a Tarek, you're like... yes, die, son. And all of a sudden now Tarek's tanking a tower shot again. I mean, Tarek is always... It's like if you have one carry as a Tarek, it's so nice and fun. You see there the Jinx ults again. We're going to kind of reposition ourselves. Look at these mechanics. Let's just start that off again, because I kind of think we should focus very heavily on the Graves here. So, Spear does hit, right? Watching. The explosion's going to come from the side here. We're trying to get resets, remember. We're trying to get resets. We do. So he E's out of the way, forces a flash, basically an assassin on the Jinx there. The ult from the Kayle has gone through now. Now we can just chase people down. We have the Renata ult, we have the Tarek ult, we're getting hooked. He still has this, actually. But this is not something when you... Oh, you can't see it. 344 thirsting slash damage and 379 healing. It's not something that he really has as like a super healer, super damager, you know? Because obviously you're not melee. You're not always going to be in range to get that proc. But you can be. And when you are, you do use it. Especially on champions like Irelia who want to jump on you. Nidalee wants to jump on you. Things like this, anything wants to jump on you, it's so huge. So it's more like a situational use, and obviously it helps you clear as well. Thresh, Flash, Stun, you got this. You got it, baby. Gems be the caca partout. The gems do be outrageous. Red is spawning, we're going to snack this as well. So you're noticing, hopefully, the first clear, super flex pathing, all right, really reacts to information on the map immediately. This counter jungling is not a knife for the kill, but it's really a knife that compromises the way you fight. You know, you just kind of poke a knife in a real sensitive spot that makes it difficult for you to kind of keep fighting properly. And I like that. It's real cutthroat counter jungling, and he doesn't waste his time with it. He just uses that for subsequent plays. And here, like, he's hung around a long time. He has no mana, but you don't really need as much mana on Graves. Like, mana's good, but, you know, if we're out of it, still auto attack. And you usually have quite enough, because, I mean, he's only, what, 40 mana, so that's fine. Good overstay, but don't always overstay this much. But he can overstay when he's really, really fat. Like, if you're really, really fat, the overstay is definitely something you can afford to do. But if you're kind of playing an equal game, where it's a lot closer, the splash from the ult, you would have seen that. If you're playing an equal game, and you make a turnaround, or you're behind, you make a turnaround, don't overstay that. Like, go spend your gold, use it. He's at such a gold lead that even with the enemy team dying, resetting, spending, and rotating back, they're still behind in itemization. So he can afford to stick around, which is absolutely fine. Because look, we got 3,200. Dragon is up. Now, people, typically here, you could just go ahead and take this. But we kind of want to flex into map pressure. We don't really care about this. The soul is not something that we are remotely concerned about in this particular game. We go for the Frozen Node early, actually. Yeah, that's interesting. So normally we would go last Frozen, but in this case, we have enough damage. And the only thing that will compromise this game, much like a Guardian Angel, is some kind of random death through the inherent scaling of Kayle, Jinx, and of course, potentially in a Rally making a Giga play with the Thresh and things like that. And obviously, it's Caps and Jinx. So you don't want to give them an inch, because they will take a mile. And you have more than enough damage to kill everyone, so we might as well just reduce some of their attack speed, reduce their damage to us, and with the HP that we do have the Warden's Mail proc actually doing some good things. Rock solid, baby. Chasing down the Thresh, sticking with him because of the Lantern. Taric is broken or what? We're gonna have multiple Frozen Hearts, which is not always good, but it's not always bad either, because when you have like team fights where you kind of split and detach, then they kind of do their own thing either side. But if you're going to be sticking next to someone the whole time, like if you're a Warwick and you're a Taric and you're peeling backline, you don't both need Frozen Heart, right? So Warwick can kind of shift into randoms and things like that. But overall, you're seeing exquisite pressure here. And in terms of technicalities, in terms of how he wins these games, he does a lot of games like this. And you're thinking, well, he just snowballs and he takes over. Yeah, because he sees the map. The enemy jungler never has a chance to make the right play. Red side, always 3 camp action flags. Blue side, usually 5 camps or 4 clears, depending on who he's facing, and the direction is usually down, unless everyone is anticipated to go up, and he'll try and match that. Again, I'm going to do a full expose on like the minute details of the different scenarios he finds himself in. But for a pure snowballing, unkillable, hugely damaging, disgusting mechanical build that you could use on Graves, this is it, my friends. And obviously, finally, you can go Morph Mortiers, you can go straight into Black Cleaver as well. There's a few combinations of items you can go, but typically every item I've mentioned in this video is the way to go. Taric, huge things in the end, but everyone coalesces around the Graves, everyone coalesces around the Legend of Zib. Strong build, give it a try. Try those clearings that I looked at, and most importantly, please, as they kind of go ahead and just dive and hit this Nexus, most important thing for me is when you take this red into the Herald, don't go Ostrich back into the full clear. You see how he translates his Herald into a gankable lane, burns a flash, does this. He would do this and look here and then look here, but because he stays, he cuts in to dive, uses that to counter jungle, knows that Nidalee cannot handle him. If Nidalee's other side or runs into him, he'll just kill her. Then translates that to the bottom lane gank, pushes it out. You can fall back to the dragon early. You can reset then and kind of do the same thing, or you can clear the quadrant and reset. That's the kind of flow I'm talking about. And when you have this build with the snowball component, as you see the Morph Mortis come through, how do you deal with it? The answer is you don't. I really enjoyed and learned something. The match history, as always, in the description. Downloads from those match history links in every video really do support the channel financially, so appreciate all of you who click those and download. Zada GG guys for Warwick and Volibear below. Graves 1 and any other jungler coming very soon, lighter versions as well, just with all my macro tips and so on, and power thing tips. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed and learned something, and as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial. Time for a nap.